Joining me today on Pawan Luthra podcast is a materials scientist, an inventor who's known for inventing green steel, recycling science, and setting up microfactories. Now, for her distinguished service to science as an engineer and inventor, to sustainable materials research and technology and waste management, she has been honored with an Order of Australia Medal. Welcome, Dr. Veena Sahajwalla AO, and congratulations.
Well, thank you very much, Pawan. That was quite humbling to hear that. And wow, I never thought that would be something I'd be referred to as. And so thank you.
But Veena, the National Museum of Australia describes you as a rubbish queen. How does how does that title sit on you?
Love it, absolutely. Because it nicely captures the two words that I really think are so true. When you want to talk about who you are and what you do, then the fact that it's summed up in two words like that is actually a real honor, because it really talks about the fact that you're not afraid to take on difficult things. Rubbish is usually seen as something that is just cast away and put away, and hide it out of sight, out of mind, as they say. So for me, to bring it front and center and to talk about it as a valuable resource, as something that we should actually recognize, that we're all part of society, we're on this planet, and if we're going to be creating this rubbish waste, we need to be able to take responsibility. And I think, to me,
And
that's
I'm going
that's
to
really what.
come back to that in a second. But now
Yeah,
you grew up in Mumbai,
yeah,
and like other parts of India, everything was recycled to the nth degree.
yeah.
Does it make you angry walking down the road in Sydney on a council garbage day and seeing what people throw out?
Yeah, it's such a good question now, Pawan, because I think, to me, yeah, absolutely. I mean, to the point where I think when I'm driving through various streets, and of course I know the days on which things get collected on my street, but as I kind of wander through after I've come back from work, and I walk up and down the footpaths and really kind of trying to look at stuff and go, oh my gosh, this is. I mean, on one hand, it's scary, it's sad, it's the fact that that whole kind of throwaway mentality has kind of taken us to that whole next level, where
Mm,
we can't even find a way to be able to share things, that I think that extra effort that we all need to take. Because I mean, once it goes into the council trucks, it's all going to get all squashed up and scrunched up, which again I've seen
mm,
from my home when it happens, and it's heartbreaking. So I think before the anger comes that emotion of feeling really, really sad for our planet. Because I think, to me, how do we not stop and ask that question? It's Mother Nature cannot take any more of this
mm,
attitude of just simply throwing things away. So I think, to me, part of this is we need to be able to do better, absolutely, at the local level, where we need
mm,
to make our goods and products and resources um,
mm,
available to the
mm,
broader community,
mm.
and recognize that there are many, many people who are not as lucky as we are.
So I can hear the passion in your voice. Tell us about your sliding door moment when you discovered the true passion in your life. Professionally, I mean, not drama, but professionally, when you discovered the the passion in your life.
I think it sort of goes back to you. You referred to the kabadiwalas, and you referred to kind of growing up in India, and I grew up in Mumbai. Even as a little kid, I think one of the things we'd always do, because it was part of life. When you live in that high density apartment living, and you're sort of literally crammed up, your balconies and your apartments are so close to each other. I think the feeling that you get when you grow up in places like that is, there is something that tells everybody what your life is all about. And it's literally
Mm,
being able to look into each other's apartments, talk about knowing what you do, but then when you're a little kid and you're not afraid to yell out to the kabadiwala who's walking past and going, I'm here to collect, as you know, in Hindi, they will say, newspapers to whatever. And of course, as a little kid, you're like just so excited because you've been collecting all these newspapers and you
Yes.
don't care whether your parents approve or don't approve of the fact that you might have to stand up on a little stool to get your height up so that you can just literally get to the balcony level and yell at somebody down on the street going, I've got newspapers, please come up and please collect it. And the buzz and the excitement just from that sheer action was something I'll never forget growing up in a place like Mumbai. And you really never forget those things that shape you as a child. And I just remember even yelling across balconies and kind of everyone comes over to say, what is this little kid screaming about? And the fact that why she's so worried about old newspapers at her home. Shouldn't this be something her parents should be doing? Why is she doing it? And I think to me that just kind of is in a way a memory from the early days of my childhood in growing up in Mumbai. I still just look outside the balcony in my home. I was there in Mumbai and just stand around at the balcony and watch what happens. And it still to this day gives me those goosebumps moments when I see
Wow.
all of this. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow. You're known for innovating microfactories. What are these?
Yeah, so microfactories are really all about saying that, when we talk about waste as a resource and we talk about creating value, you have to be able to create products that are also going to have an opportunity to be not only made, but to actually be put through use as any product would. So the reality of looking at a holistic system that says whether you've got small amounts or large amounts of different kinds of end of life materials, the important question is, what do you make from that? And if you can make something that is fit for purpose and you can do it at a scale that is fit for purpose. So the whole point about, microfactories and when, we started working on this, more than a decade ago, was really to be able to say, we don't always have to have mega factories. One example of a recent microfactory that has gotten up and running in 2024 was about taking those difficult plastics that are there in our e-waste, our electronic waste. Your old printers, for example, are plastics that people would look at it and go, it's an essential product, but when it stops working, what do I do with it? Off you go. It goes onto our curbside. But actually, imagine if all of this did go into a microfactory, if it did get converted into plastic filaments, those plastic filaments were fit for purpose, and the purpose here is 3D printing, then you've created an ecosystem that basically challenges the notion that this is difficult to recycle.
But what's the trade-off between doing it with a socially friendly motive and the financial reality?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the trade-off over there, Veena?
Well, this is why we've struck the right balance. And the right balance here is that working with our industry partner in Sydney, so Renew IT, who is our partner in Sydney, where our microfactory has started, is a great example of the fact that you do need somebody and the leadership that we see at Renew IT, starting all the way from their managing director, James, who's obviously aware of the whole system because he's been in the business of looking at IT waste, and the whole world around IT, equipment means that you've got to be able to collect it. But when you do collect it, the question is, what do you do next? It's no point just saying I've collected it, therefore I'm just going to find, an organization that's just going to put it away into landfill. Well, you haven't really solved the problem then, have you? So the trade-off really comes from the fact that you recognize the value in those materials, what kinds of plastics they are, how do we actually convert those into plastic filaments, create those local jobs in Australia, make sure that then it is of the right quality, because that's the important thing. You have to do enough of that science and the translation of those science in practice. And the fact that he now walks the talk, he's not just saying, yeah, we're a great company, we recycle. He's actually got a microfactory up and running. So you do have businesses who are able to then set up microfactory, which is what he's done. And he is therefore our partner in this space to be able to convert these waste resources into viable products. He's spent money, he's employing people, he's creating jobs. So I think, to me, that's the point, that you achieve those optimal goals, and the optimal goal is that it's got to be good for the environment, it's also got to be good for the economy. And we can be really clever in saying, Australia leads the world in micro factories, and that is only possible when you've done the science first and foremost to establish that foundation. And to be able to do that where your industry partner is in the same city, taking on board a challenge of how do you set up a micro factory so that it's a viable solution, and it's not just kind of going, well, I've made something, but it's made something of quality
and
and
purpose.
performance and purpose. Exactly right.
I can see why you're so passionate about what you do, but you're a poster girl for South Asian women who are interested in science. What would be your advice to them as their poster girl?
Yeah, look, first of all, thank you very much, Pavanji, for that very kind way to put it. I again never thought that's what I'd be seen as. I think, to me, it's recognizing that there are always going to be challenges in life. There are always going to be things that you will run up into where people are going to say, oh, this is not possible, this is not doable, or this will never work. What are you thinking? There will always be the skeptics and the naysayers. And I think, to me, to be able to, yes, get that own inner confidence by saying, you know what, I'm going to also spend enough time talking to perhaps mentors and people who can give me guidance and advice. And however you get your guidance and advice, whether it's through friends and family, I think that is also an important recognition that you need to be able to say, I'm in the early days of my journey, or I've started a new venture, or I'm doing something that I need, if nothing else, that moral support. I think it's okay. It's okay to be able to say, you know what, I've got all the technicalities sorted out, but you know what, there's all these other factors that I'm running up against. So ask for advice. Don't be afraid to bring into confidence and to be able to say, to your friends and family or mentors, that I need a bit of support here, or every so often I need a shoulder to cry on.
A husband or a partner to drive behind when I do some strange things on the side of the roads.
Yes.
Veena, now let's quickly play a game called Trash or Treasure. Now, you're being honored with an AO, which stands for Australian Open also. Last year, 71,352 balls were used in the Australian Open. How would you recycle a tennis ball?
I would first and foremost begin by asking, what's it made of? So I'd need to analyze that, and I'd need to be able to say, if I analyze it and I know what those fundamental molecules are in that fabric, I think I've got a solution or two up my sleeve, but I'd have to preserve and hold back that answer once I've done the analysis.
I can see that there's going to be a big discussion around a breakfast table at work one of these days. 71,352 balls and cricket ball, and that's got Bumrah's signature on the back. So we're not recycling this one.
No.
Just with Bumrah, but generally, what will you do?
Yeah, well, again, I'd like to know. This has got to be a really strong material. I mean, I can imagine the speed that it sees. Oh, wow. I would love to probably get a few samples, not just one. I'd like to get a sample of what is at the start and what it has become at the end of its life, and somewhere in between. Love to be able to do a systematic study on that entire range of what had happened. And oh my gosh, I am always fascinated with the question of the speed and the batting that puts it out there. I would love to be, hey, and in celebration of red, I've got a red on. There you go. So
done. Veena Sahajwalla AO, congratulations on your honor, and it's an honor to know you.
Thank you so much, Pavanji. Thank you for that opportunity to share my passion with you today.